So let me guess 3 things about you. You know your customers inside out. You love thinking about what your customers need. In fact, you have a vision for what your organization needs to do to make all your customers jump for joy and pile all their money at your feet. Thirdly, you wish that what you envisioned was what actually ended up happening. But it rarely ends up working out like that. There's always shortcuts taken here, suspicious trade-offs made there. The reality is, when you're working in a team, everyone's going to have their own motivations and their own ideas. So how do you take your vision, which captures all kinds of customer nuances and is frankly impossible to articulate perfectly, through this execution phase without any catastrophic deviations? My name's Kang. I'm a software engineer at Dovetail, and that means I'm one of those people on your team that takes your idea and then ruins it before it gets to customers. Except it's not like that at Dovetail, and it doesn't have to be like that in your team either. Today, I'm going to show you that by cultivating a team of customer-minded engineers, you can enable your organization to capture your vision just as you had imagined. But what do I mean by customer-minded engineer? Who are these people who are going to change the way that product gets built in your organization? Well, for me, there are 2 key aspects that set apart a customer-minded engineer from any other typical engineer. And it's pretty simple. The first aspect is that they know your customer. They deeply understand who they're building for and what their needs are. They've built an intuition for what the customer loves, what the customer hates. You can trust them to make and to champion decisions that the customer themselves would make, that they know the customer. The second aspect is that a customer-minded engineer cares about the customer. They're passionate about building an experience that the customer will delight in. They're excited and they're energized to solve your customer's problems. They'll proactively raise concerns, they'll fix issues because they're motivated to do hard things for the sake of the customer. Maybe there's an engineer that you've worked with or that you know that this description reminds you of. What made them valuable to you, to your organization? Keep that in mind because at this point, you're probably asking, like any good product person should, why does this matter? Is this really the thing that's going to make or break the success of what I'm building? And I'm here to convince you that that's absolutely right. Let me walk you through a little scenario that should help to demonstrate this. So you've got this grand vision for your company, for your organization, and you've even managed to turn it into a design for what you want your engineer to build. Your engineer takes the design and breaks it down into working pieces, starts building. They'll almost always start to uncover details that you missed originally. There's something about the process of building, physically, digitally building, that brings out new ideas, new questions. Your typical engineer might sweep some of these things under the rug, hope that no one notices. Or if you're lucky, they'll barrage you with all kinds of questions. On the other hand, a customer-minded engineer in this kind of situation understands the nuances behind the design. They combine that with their own knowledge of the customer to fill in any of the gaps. And you can trust them to make the right decision. With a customer-minded engineer, it's no longer just up to you, just up to one person to consider all the things beforehand. And the benefit of this is that once you no longer have to deal with the fire hose of practical detail after practical detail, you'll find that you have so much more space to think about the higher level, strategic, visionary thinking that only you can do in your organization. Isn't that what you want to do? The thing is, you want your engineers to be making more decisions. In fact, I want to go as far as suggesting engineers can often make the best, most informed decisions. Here's how I think about it. Product decisions often boil down to return on investment. What are the highest value changes that we can make for the least amount of effort or resources? The return, the value part, that's customer-centric. It requires a deep understanding of what the customer needs, how strong their needs are, whether one need is greater than another. The investment part is engineering-centric. You need to understand the intricacies of what you're building. What's even possible? What makes building one thing more difficult than another? Customer-minded engineer deeply understands both the customer and the engineering, the return and the investment, which means they can make the right trade-offs and ultimately make a good, fully informed decision. At the end of the day, A customer-minded engineer is going to help both you and your organization to invest your time where it's most valuable and to make sure that you're making the right decisions, all from the littlest of details to the biggest existential ones. I hope at this point you're nodding, you're feeling compelled that maybe this customer-minded engineering thing is worth a try. Now, I'm not claiming to have all the answers, but I want to share some things that I've observed at Dovetail that help to create this kind of culture. Forgive me for the outrageous analogy, but I love sourdough bread. I have 2 slices for breakfast every morning, toasted and topped with butter. There's nothing better to start the day. I'm sure some of you have made your own sourdough before, but for those who haven't, the whole process starts with this living culture of fermenting yeast and bacteria called a sourdough starter. If your sourdough starter is healthy, it can help to lay the foundation for the light texture, the subtle sourness that makes a perfect sourdough loaf. Today I'm going to give you 4 ingredients that will help to make a kind of sourdough starter, a culture within your organization that needs to be cultivated, needs to be thriving in order to lay the foundation for this beautiful picture of customer-minded engineering that we've just talked about. The first ingredient is to excite your engineers with your company's success, to engage them with your vision for what you're building. Customer-minded engineers need to be passionate about the customer, but more importantly, they need to be passionate about how your product solves your customers' problems. When engineers are engaged with your vision, they'll go above and beyond to ship delightful experiences. And they won't be afraid to challenge decisions that don't align with that vision. How exactly to engage your engineers with your company's vision is a much broader topic that I can't go fully into in such a short amount of time. But I do want to share what helps me to get excited about Dovetail's vision. You would have heard this morning from Benjamin about some of the really exciting parts of Dovetail's vision of the future of research and of insights. Internally, together, we build on top of that vision layers of strategy to help light the pathway to that vision. We've also started working in the cadence of seasonal launches, which help to align and excite us all to be moving in the same direction towards a pressing customer problem or problem area. The second ingredient is to equip and empower your engineers to drive change. The key here is really psychological safety, helping people to feel like they can raise concerns without fear of being humiliated or being punished. Engineers who are customer-minded need this freedom to be able to challenge questionable decision-making. Otherwise, you risk them losing interest in your vision and not feeling like they can do anything to change it. One way that you can help engineers to be more customer-minded is to proactively involve them in product decisions early. By doing this, you encourage them, you recognize the value that only they can bring as an engineer, and you also give them a platform for them to contribute in that way. When engineers feel like they can affect and drive change, you also see this virtuous cycle start to happen, where engineers feel empowered to take responsibility for and ownership for their own engagement with work, which makes them even more excited to affect and drive change. The third ingredient is to expose your engineers to customers regularly. An insightful article by Jared Spool explains how even 2 hours every 6 weeks watching customers use your product is enough to make a noticeable improvement to the product decisions that your team makes. At Dovetail, engineers regularly join customer research calls or sales calls. There's me in one. We also use Dovetail, of course, to capture our customers' interactions with the product, which we either watch directly or they get turned into highlight reels or reports that we learn from. One example of this at Dovetail is a monthly themed customer showcase where together as a company we all sit together and watch our customers talk about what they want from our product. We also have a direct line to our customers through our community Slack and through our various feedback forms, which we keep a keen eye on. The fourth and last ingredient, which I've titled Enlist because I wanted all 4 to start with an E, is to hire engineers who want to be customer-minded. Some engineers just don't care for the bigger picture. They care more about solving an interesting problem than a problem that actually exists. There's nothing wrong with loving solving complex problems. I do too. But A customer-minded engineer loves problems that are grounded by purpose. Customer centricity is at the heart of Dovetail's values, and our hiring process involves a values-based behavioral interview that ensures that new engineers are aligned with that. We also establish a customer-minded culture early by encouraging new starters to participate in what we call a Researcher for a Day program, where they watch customer clips, they interview a colleague, analyze that in Dovetail, and familiarize themselves with the product that they're going to be building. We also have a Support for a Day program, where we encourage and support everyone across the company to interact directly with real customers. These are 4 ingredients that will help you to create a customer-minded culture, and I'm hoping that it will spark even more ideas to make this happen, specifically in your organization. And can I let you in on a little secret? None of this is really limited to just engineering. That's just the language that I've been using. Anyone who impacts the customer can become more customer-minded. Anyone who impacts the customer can help the organization to make better decisions. These 4 ingredients apply just as well for engineering as they do for marketing, for support, for sales, for research, and so on. So why don't you take these 4 ingredients? Excite your team with your company's vision for what you're building. Empower them to drive change. Encourage them to interact with customers more regularly. Hire people who want to be customer-minded. And ultimately cultivate an organization that knows your customer and is passionate about how your product solves their problems. You start to find more time to lead your organization in the right direction. You start to see better decisions, more informed decisions being made all the time. And maybe you'd even find that when you look back, the vision that ended up happening wasn't quite what you imagined. It was even better.